Hey, it's Pete Cohen here. Welcome to episode 137 of the My365 podcast series. And today is a special day because it's our member of the month. And our member of the month for the month of May is the incredible Jen Reddings. Now, first and foremost, I am a coach. You know, I love to speak and get up in front of people and inspire them, but I'm a coach. That's what I love to do. And the role of a coach is to take someone from where they are to where they want to be. It comes from the term of a coach and horses. So when you coach someone, that's what you're trying to do. Help them identify what they want to achieve, what's wildly important to them, and support them on that journey. And that's what I've been able to do with Jen. And I've seen this lady really blossom and really become a better version of themselves. We believe that everyone's future is unwritten and they have the power to change. You could say that we're all superheroes and we love heroes. And when you listen to an everyday person like this, I hope you realize just really what is possible for you and for me to change our lives today. So I really hope you enjoy this podcast. Remember, our podcast today is brought to you by My365 Elite, which is the definitive #1 opportunity in the world for everyday people to get world-class coaching wherever they are in the world. So go and check it out at mi365.me/elite. That's mi365.me/elite. Enjoy the podcast now. So I'm delighted. It is the My365 podcast series and it's member of the month for the month of May. And it's the awesome Jen Reddings. Jen, how are you?
I am awesome.
Thank you so much for being here today and being our member of the month. When I told you that you were going to be our member of the month, do you remember what the first thing you said or the first thing you thought?
I can't tell you the first thing I thought. I think the first thing I said was,
write it down if you want on a piece of paper.
What?
Yeah.
No, it's too rude.
Oh, okay.
No, I just was in shock, I think. I don't. It's one of those things that's always been at the back of my mind for as long as I've been sort of with My365, but kind of never thought that I would warrant it because I feel like I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not there for everybody else in the way that some members are, and there are so many amazing people in the group that, I was shocked.
I think sometimes when you're just getting on with things, we often just don't realise that in doing those little things and showing up and just being so honest, how inspiring that is to others. But actually, I think sometimes we don't realise what is actually happening to ourselves and how much we're growing. And for me, you being a member of the month was just an absolute no-brainer because I've been able to watch and see your journey. And, you know, we all know the journey to success is not a straight line. It's not like, way. It's like, and that's kind of what has happened to you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Tell me what you're passionate about, and then we can maybe start talking about what My365 has kind of done for you.
Well, I live in Welwyn Garden City in Hertfordshire. I am 48 years old, which I'm embracing because I keep having these little niggles about being nearly 50, but actually I don't care because it's just a number.
Yes.
And I'm in the best place in my life that I've ever been, I think. And I credit that to a lot of My365.
And how did you come across it in the first place?
I don't know. I think it was one of those, the universe colliding moments where I was ready for it. And I think you just came up on my Facebook feed. I don't know anybody else who was following you at the time.
Yeah.
And I just started, I watched one live broadcast and was hooked. I think I watched those free broadcasts as they were at the time, the daily broadcasts, for about 2 weeks and then signed up to Elite because I needed more.
The thing that I just pictured in my head when you said that was Mary Poppins. You know, not that I'm Mary Poppins. And by the way, pretty soon after this podcast comes out, there's a sequel to Mary Poppins. Did you know that?
Yes.
It's not a remake. It's a sequel made 20 years after. I don't know why I'm telling you that, is that, the children, they write that thing because they want this person to come. And I've heard you say this before, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And you were obviously looking for something. And there's something maybe that magical that does happen when we ask for things, that things manifest.
Yeah, I definitely believe that now. If you'd asked me that question kind of 5 years ago, do I believe that the universe is conspiring to help me?
Yeah.
I would have poo-pooed it. But so many things have come together in my life, particularly in the last 2 years. I've become more open and more ready to receive, if that doesn't sound too naff. And I just feel like it's all coming together. It doesn't just happen. I have a bit of an issue with The Secret, where you just put the wishes and what you want out there and it just all comes to you. It doesn't. You have to focus on it and you have to work on it.
Yeah, and obviously the obstacles that are going to come your way.
Oh, yes.
And I was talking to someone who one of our My365 people, Kate, and we were talking about, people say the obstacle is the way. I think the challenge is the way. Whatever the challenge, you are going to be challenged to do something which is probably a little bit difficult, but that's the only way you grow, right?
Absolutely. And I have had my share of challenges. We all do. And for me, it's not even about the challenges. Life is a series of challenges. If it wasn't, it's a bit like that kind of yin-yang thing. If you don't have dark, you don't appreciate the light. If you don't have rain, you don't appreciate the sun. If you don't have sad, then you don't appreciate when you're happy.
Yeah.
So if you don't have those challenges, you don't grow.
I can really relate to that. Obviously, by the time this goes out, my father, I don't think he'll be here anymore. He's still here, just clutching onto his life. And what I've gained from that, something very subtle, which I didn't even realise was happening, is a much deeper connection with people.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that's come out of something so horrible, to see someone who you love, seeing them die is like, and then you see people who, it's like you're counselling me now.
I'm good, aren't I?
You are good. Well, that's something which I've also observed about you, is that you love to help other people, and that's one of your goals, is to really take that up to another level. But life isn't always the way maybe we want it to be, but it is the way that it is, and it's about, well, what are you going to do about this? And I think that's one of the things I really admire in you, is that you still show up even when it's tough, even when it's difficult, even when you probably feel like just hiding and not coming forwards. And I think it gives a lot of people, the world needs more people like that, to say, it's okay to struggle, it's okay.
I think it's really important, and it's really important to show up when things are difficult as well as when they're good, because you need that balance. So often social media is just, it's like papering over the cracks. It's, look how amazing my life is, and, selfies of my face as a sparkly pig or whatever it is, the filters, and life doesn't happen through a filter, so that's just not a good representation. I've actually found recently that I spend less and less time on social media for exactly that reason, because I know that that's not a true representation. So what I try to do and be balanced about it, and it's for me as much as it is for the rest of the My365 community, it helps me to process everything that's going on. And as you said, you've realised that the experience that you're going through with your dad has given you something. And I'm actually at a stage in my life now where it's not so much hindsight, I'm seeing it as it unfolds. So a situation is what it is, and a challenge is what it is, and it's all about how I respond to it, how I react to it, what I do with it, and what I can take from it. So I'm actually in the process of doing that as it's unfolding, whereas previously it was kind of looking back on it and thinking, oh yeah, now I know why that happened to me. But
yeah, that's called, I think, being the observer in your life. You're observing what's going on. And that's actually what you start doing when you really start coaching yourself. It's that awareness of how you are feeling, how you're moving through the world. And then I suppose realizing you actually have a series of choices. And I'm sure there'll be people listening to this all over the world that they would love to be able to install that way of thinking and moving through the world, because it makes life a bit more, or what's different to you in your life now you have that way of observing what's going on as opposed to reacting to things and...
Yeah, I'm much calmer.
Yeah.
I'm far more focused. I don't let things derail me like I used to. I suppose I've always been a bit of a drama queen. A bit woe is me. Everything. Yeah. Why is this happening to me? And yeah, a bit of a victim. I could quite easily slip into victim mode. I just don't do that anymore. It's about kind of standing back and assessing the situation. And as you said, accepting it for what it is, and then taking it forward. So what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do next? How am I going to respond to it? And how can I make it better?
And what do you put that down to? Because, we were talking about, selfies and, if someone's got a six-pack, there's a six-pack tax, right? They've actually got to do something to get it, unless they're taking a picture of someone else's abs and saying that they're theirs, but, or photoshopped or something like that. But you now have this, which is yours. What is the price that you had to pay to kind of have this new way of thinking and moving through the world?
Interesting that you call it a price to pay. There is a cost, there is a price, and my life has changed dramatically. I lost my mum 4 years ago, but on top that's what I think started to tip the balance for me in terms of being who I really am. I feel that I've spent a lot of my life being who other people expect me to be. I was always a bit of a people pleaser, didn't like to upset anybody, so I would not say what I think, keep it all inside and just go with the flow. And what's actually happened, particularly over the last few years, is that people have fallen away from my life. Not because they're bad people, not because I'm better than they are in any way at all. We're just on a different path. Yeah. And I'm far more disciplined, I suppose, about doing what I want. Yeah. To get what's right for me and mine, and my circle has shrunk significantly. The people that have kind of fallen away from my life, we're not friends, we're just not on the same wavelength.
Why do you think it's important to find your own path in life?
It's about fulfilment for me. I could have carried on as I was, because I was quite perfectly happy, everything was fine. I was, I'd get up, I'd go to work, I'd come home, I'd go to bed, I'd get up, I'd go to work. But it wasn't fulfilling. There was no joy in my life. And even saying it out loud now, so I'm not quite there. I'm on that journey, but still saying it out loud and talking about things like joy and gratitude. And when I talk like that to other people, I get the kind of response that I would probably have given 5 or 10 years ago. Yeah. Mumbo jumbo. Away with the fairies. But for me, I feel completely different.
So where does your fulfillment come from? How do you get fulfillment?
That's a really difficult question to answer, because I would have said it's about achieving things for me, because I've always been a learner and I'm growing all the time. And that is part of it. But actually, in a way, it's about serenity, I think, and acceptance. That things being the way they are and not constantly fighting against life, going with the flow, has really made a huge difference.
So you
to how
probably
I
say
feel.
Something like, that's interesting. There's that famous serenity prayer, which I think is about
accepting the things that you can't change and changing the things you can, or I don't know exactly how it goes, but
we know what it in the essence it's kind of saying, just be aware of the things that you can change and the things that you can't, we'll just let them go. So fulfillment, it sounds like a large part of fulfillment comes from you, from learning and growing. And is that a big part of what My365 has given you, that opportunity to kind of continue to learn?
Definitely. I'm also doing, on top of the work that I do with My365 and the masterclasses. That word escapes me every time. I want to call it workbooks because I've got them in a workbook. In the masterclasses, I also do other courses. So I'm looking at things like NLP, mindfulness. All those things that spark an interest. But invariably, over the last couple of years, it's been My365 that has sparked that interest, and then I've gone on to do more. Which is...
so fulfillment for you, because I think, do you think that there's something inside most of us where we probably want to learn and grow and get better at things?
I think so, but I think a lot of people quash it because it's not approved. You're supposed to want to go to work, come home, have dinner and sit in front of the telly all night, maybe go to the pub, eat a pizza the size of your own head,
Yes.
That's what you're supposed to want to do.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of societal norm, if you like.
Yeah. So do you think that that's why a lot of people are unfulfilled, because they know deep down they're not being who they're truly capable of being?
I think so. But I think a lot of people also don't acknowledge it. And when I said about getting that response where they're going, yeah, you're away with the fairies, that for me is a lot about fear or denial, because people look at people like My365ers who are growing and happy and fulfilled and all those other things and think, maybe not consciously, but there's an element of, well, that's a bit scary because I don't think I could do that. That's what I really want out of life, but I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
But actually they can.
So,
and it's stepping through that and making it happen, because it doesn't happen without effort.
So you the way you talk about that, it sounds like the conversation inside your head, the conversations that we all have inside our head of a part of us that will always try and hold us back and push us back. And you've obviously got in contact with the part of you that wants you to move forwards. I'm
getting better at it. Fear does still hold me back in a lot of cases, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm curious about it now, because I think if my immediate instinct is to say, oh no, I'm not doing that, I'll then start analysing, okay, well, where did that come from? Why is that my initial response? Is that about the actual event itself that I'm concerned about, or is it something in me that is preventing me from moving forward for whatever reason?
It's such a powerful way of moving through the world. And like I said a few moments ago, you have started to coach yourself, which is really powerful. And it's taking responsibility. So tell me a little bit just more about kind of what you've achieved. What's different? What's been some of the biggest learnings for you through being a part of My365 with the stuff we've done on things like confidence and willpower and mindfulness? Best year yet, being more creative.
Yeah.
What are the things which really kind of stick out for you?
The biggest learning for me, which kind of encompasses all of those things that we've looked at, is the fact that I can do anything. I can do anything. If I want it enough, I can make it happen.
Wow.
So, and I think that started, so I'm really excited about the fact that, we're going to revisit leadership, because I can distinctly remember that week previously when we looked at leadership being a complete shift, and about that personal responsibility in leading myself and having a goal and keeping the eyes on the prize, if you like. The most recent masterclass that we've done is always my favourite, because there's a bit in all of them and I get really fired up by it. And at the moment it's all about the visualisation and having the pictures and I've really got a lot out of that. And I've got my picture of my desired future. I carry it with me all the time, and it's always, the visualisation is always in my head. Always, I've just got this image of where I want to be.
See, when you talk about that, I can kind of see what you're looking at, because it's so clear to you. Yeah. And I think it's sad that people don't use that creative genius that they have. And that was one of the things we spoke about recently, about the genius inside everybody, that the Romans believed everyone had it. The Greeks believed everyone had it, this guiding voice that would move you in a direction that we were destined maybe to move. But I think also what's great about you, and I think you're a great example of this, is you talk so openly and honestly about how you used to play the victim. And I think, we all do that sometimes, but what you've really tapped into, I think, is the essence of who you are, which is a natural born leader. Because I think leaders are just people who, they want to follow themselves. They like the direction that they're going in. Tell me about some of the aspirations that you have moving forwards.
That's another really interesting question, because that shifts constantly. I went through a phase of having followed you for so long and coaching's the way forward. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to coach other people. I'm going to do one-to-one coaching. 6 months later, I realised actually that's not what I want to do. Yeah. But I think I naturally coach anyway. Yeah. And I really like being in the corporate space. So I've had a couple of promotions at work over the last couple of years, and I've just started heading up a new team that what I'm trying to do is, just by being me, I suppose, is instill some of the the values and the help the team to realise that they can have some of what I've got from my 365 in terms of developing themselves and taking responsibility for themselves, and I'm really excited by it.
Yeah. Even though
but
that's not easy.
Well, I also have to accept that some people will come with me and some won't.
Yeah.
But I'm getting much better at that as well, because when I started out, I kind of wanted to change the world, and I can't see why anybody wouldn't want to do this because it feels amazing, it's all fantastic.
Yeah.
I can say that till I'm blue in the face. There are always going to be some people who don't want to do that. But kind of the next stage for me, I suppose, is in terms of what I actually do, is more speaking. I've been invited by my boss, so our CEO, to actually talk about growth mindset to the company. So it'll be the biggest thing I've ever done. It's only a few minutes. There are 3 or 4 of us that have been selected to do it, but talking about growth mindset to about 350 people, which I'm quite excited about.
I'd love to help you with that if I could. And I think it's beautiful when you realise, and it took me years to work that out as well. Some people, they don't want to change. I might not be the right person for them. It might not be the right time for them. But when you find the people that really do want to change and to focus on those people, amazing transformation happens. How much of your promotions at work do you put down to being a part of My365 and what that's done for you?
Probably a significant amount, I think. Some of it's been circumstantial, but is it circumstantial or is it because I've sort of driven it forward? There have been changes in, people retiring, which has made opportunities arise, but didn't necessarily have to be me that took those up. So I think part of that is kind of about making it happen, seeing where you want to go and making it happen.
So during this whole period of time, I know there's been some real challenging circumstances, and I'm not asking you to talk about that publicly, but I can't, I think people that are listening to this maybe just think, well, this has just been a real plain sailing route for you, and sunshine and rainbows, and
far from it. And I did actually, I have had some massive challenges. The last year particularly has been really challenging, and I did check that I was allowed to mention it, so I'm quite happy to share. My son has had some significant mental health issues over the last year, spent the best part of 2 months in hospital last summer, and one of the things that has taught me is that I need to be in the right frame of mind to be able to give to other people. So one of the things that happened for me last summer when he was hospitalised was that I actually took about 6 weeks, I think, off from the day job so that I could purely focus on supporting him through his challenges, challenging the system, if you like, within sort of the NHS, who were amazing, but I'm sure, as we all know...
What's that like for a mother to see, someone who you brought into this world and brought up who doesn't want to be here? And I can't imagine what that must be like.
It's the most heartbreaking, terrifying... I can't put it into words. I can't put it into words at all. And it comes back to that fear thing. I lived in a constant state of fear for months and months and months.
But even during all of that, you still managed to show up. You still managed to... I'm sure there were days where you didn't, but you still managed to just not let things go completely, whereas the majority of people I know in the world, that would have just... That's it. No more. I'm not looking after myself, but what I loved about what you just said there, that one of the biggest realizations for you, correct me if I'm wrong, was you saying, hang on a second here, I need to make sure that I'm okay. Because if I'm not okay, I'm not going to be able to deal with this as best as I can.
Yeah, I think I realised that very early on in the process. I had those moments where I thought, I can't do this. But what choice do I have? It's life. I've got to get on with it. Who else was going to stick up for him? Who else was going to challenge the medical professionals? Who else was going to go and see him every day and make sure that he knew that he was loved and cared for? Who else was going to do that? I didn't have a choice.
Well, you did, but for you there was no choice. And this is probably a great opportunity for me to explain why people like you are, in my eyes, your heroes. Because, you know, we know that, for those of you that don't know, the word hero comes from a Greek word meaning hieros, which is the protector. So protecting people and looking out for people. And of course you look out for, you know, your children. But I think you're also looking out for other people because you want to give. How important do you think in life is it for people to, I mean, lots of you talked about before, we talked about Instagram and people, which I love Instagram, but I can see how it can just completely spin out of control because we're looking for people to give something back to us. You know, likes, comments, shares. We're looking for affirmation, which I never think is that fulfilling. It can just kind of, you get a momentary, well, that's nice. What does it feel like to live a life now where you're really realizing I need to give more of myself and to the people around me?
It's amazing. I can't describe how it feels. Actually, I'm far less looking for external validation than I used to. Yes, it's nice that people think you're nice, and it's lovely to be member of the month, and it's, you know, all of those things, and other people acknowledging that you are good at what you do or any of that stuff is great, but it has to come from within me. I have to love who I am, and I have to be comfortable with what I'm doing and what I'm giving to other people, because if I'm not authentic about it, then it comes across as fake, and people know when you're being fake. So that whole authenticity thing, that was my word for the year that I'd kind of focused on this year, and I think I've nailed it, because I feel, I don't know, I feel more fulfilled, I suppose, because I'm being truer to myself, and that allows me to give more to other people, because it's just natural. It just happens naturally.
Do you think that's part of the hero's journey? I don't want to give anything away here, but obviously you know there's someone else in the room who's another member of the month. I'm not going to say who it is, whether it's a man or whether it's a woman, it doesn't matter. We can see, but you guys can't see. And we were talking to that person just before you arrived, and talking about, you know, finding yourself. And this is part of what I suppose this whole process has done for you, is just allow you to really get in contact with the essence of who you are. So this sounds like a really deep question to ask at 10 to 11 on a Friday. Who really are you then? When you look at the essence of who you are, let me explain it to you like in another way perhaps. So again, just talking about my dad. My dad's been pretty unwell for a while, in and out of hospital, and he got a really bad infection a few weeks ago in hospital, and he went mad. He went to his head. He was aggressive. That wasn't my dad at all. But then that all changed, and he kind of massively calmed down. And then I saw the essence of who my dad really is by the way when people came to see him, who he knows and loves, this massive smile comes to his face, and when he gives you that wink or he touches you in a certain way, because the essence of who he is a person just full of love, who just loves people. So I got to see the essence of who he is. What about you? The essence of you, what is that?
I think I'm still learning about that. I think, as I said before, I've always been a bit of a people pleaser, and I kind of wanted to make other people feel good about themselves, but at my own expense. So I've almost flipped that, and I put me first. And a lot of people will see that as selfish, but it really isn't. When you do it in practice, it's very different. Previously, I would have said that was a selfish way to be, but I think it's because I care so much about other people, and I want other people to fulfill their potential, and I've got a lot to give. I don't know, that's a really difficult question to answer.
But I think it really brings to the fore this whole thing about it's not a destination.
No, definitely not.
You know, like work-life balance, I've got it. You know, no, it's always balancing. This is, you know, you never arrive at the destination of I have arrived. It's like I'm arriving. You know, it's something I'm always working on.
And I don't, when you talk about work-life balance, I actually don't see work, life, recreation as separate things.
Yeah.
That's all about me and building the kind of life that I want to have, and that hopefully other people might want to kind of come aboard with me and join in, but I'm doing it for me.
So
does that make any sense? When I say these things, it makes sense in here. When I say these things out loud, it makes me sound a bit mad.
It makes perfect sense to me, and I'll be interested to see what people make of what, you know, one of my goals for getting this information out there to the world is let us know, what do you take away from what Jen has, you know, shared with you, with us, with me. For me, it's that whole thing of the investing into yourself so you can give more of yourself. And often it's just by doing not very much when you're being yourself that it makes a difference to everyone around you.
Yeah.
But why do you think it's important to have rituals? Tell me some of your rituals. Tell me some of your absolute like non-negotiables of things that you do every day.
Okay. I journal every day without fail, and I was going to say I meditate. I don't meditate. I am mindful. I don't do meditation in the sense that I listen to a guided meditation or any of that. Sometimes it's just about sitting in the garden in the sunshine for 2 minutes and just being quiet, being still, and being with myself before the day goes.
So what does journaling do for you?
Gets it all out of my head.
Yeah.
It's kind of busy in here.
Well, it's definitely one of the things that we're going to be looking at moving forwards. In fact, can we just move your hair? That's it. No worries. That's all right. Listen, this is...
I didn't know it escaped.
Yeah, it's like Timotei. When you were thinking of, when we were talking about essence before, my mind was playing a trick on me, like herbal essences, you know, like...
And then you started thinking about my hair.
How do you smell, you know, the essence? But the essence of us, I think, is just for love, really. I was talking to Dr. Hillary and I was asking him, I think you listened to that podcast about, you know, at the heart of everyone, is there something good? And he said, no, he doesn't believe that. But that's what I believe. I believe at the heart of everyone there is good. But what often stops that good from manifesting is just other stuff. Fear, worry. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's fear. I think it all comes down to fear.
Frightened
it certainly
to
does
love.
for me.
Yes. Yeah. And anyway, you know, everyone's different, and that's part of what My 365 is about. It's like, look, go on a journey to find out what's important to you, learn some really cool stuff so you can be happier, more present, achieve more of the things that you want to achieve in your life. And I've now forgotten what I was going to say before that. So again, you know, these things happen. So it will probably come back to my head in a second. What would you say to people out there about going on a journey of personal development and joining My 365?
Oh, do it, without a doubt. It's the best thing I have ever done. If you've ever had a kind of niggling doubt that you're not being everything you could be, that you're unfulfilled in some way, or if there's anything about your life that's not making you happy, don't be a victim to it. Embrace it, recognise it for what it is, and do something about it, because we all have the capacity for change.
Yeah.
Whether we enjoy that process or not is something else, because everybody's different. And I know I'm a bit of an advocate for change and I embrace it and love it, but I know there are plenty of people who it terrifies and avoid it like the plague. But if you have an opportunity, and My 365 is one of those opportunities, you can completely change your life. Yeah. Or enhance what you've already got if you're already happy with it. You don't have to be miserable.
Yeah.
But understanding yourself, and that's what it will give you, is an understanding of yourself and what makes you tick. It's... I just couldn't imagine not having done it. And I wish I understood why it came into my life when it did. But yeah, I'm transformed.
Yes, you know, you most definitely are, and it's been joyful to just see this journey, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go next for you. Let's just finish off with something else I know that has played a big part for you, and it's about the friendship that you have with, which is probably as big as anything.
Yeah.
You've become very friendly with people on My 365 who you didn't know before.
No.
Right?
I have, yeah, lots and lots of people. But
what do you put that down to? I mean, again, it's quite hard to put that into words, I suppose, what it's like to have.
I find that's probably one of the easiest questions you've asked me, because I think it's actually about surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I think that I've spent a lot of my life trying to fit in with other people and trying to be like them because that's what will make them happy. For me, I feel like I found my tribe. I use that expression quite a lot when I'm talking to my 365ers. I've got a group of, quite a close-knit group of people that I've become very close to, who I now consider to be my closest friends, who I met through my 365.
Yeah.
I have a much wider network of people who I love, who are on the same journey. They're sharing their experiences and their challenges. And actually next year, with a group of ladies that I met through my 365, we're actually going to do a trek up Machu Picchu next year. There are 8 of us going.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, actually, I almost gave something away there, but I don't want to do that just yet. That's amazing.
Yes,
That's
we
awesome.
had a little get together.
Hang on a second. Where's my invite?
All right, it's a ladies only event, I'm afraid.
Oh, fair enough. Right, well, we'll have to get some men together to do
We had
some
a get together last
stuff.
week. We're scattered all up and down the country, so we met up in the middle last week and started our planning. But I'm really, really excited about that. Something I thought I would never have the opportunity to do. So it's just opened so many doors for me, because I wouldn't have met those people without my 365.
Well, I'm truly grateful for who you are and this journey that you've been on. In fact, behind you, which this camera will pick up, there's on that side, there's our logo, which is our superhero logo, which is the M and the I, and above the I is, who you really are. And you are a hero, to me anyway, and I'm sure you're a hero to many other people, and I really can't wait for people to listen to this. Please make sure you like, comment. If you're listening to this on iTunes, make a comment. If you're listening to this on our website or on Facebook, like, comment, share. All of those comments, I'll make sure that you get a chance to see those and see what other people have taken away from what you've shared. So thank you so much for being our member of the month for the month of May.
Thank you.
We will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for another My 365 podcast. Cheers.